It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of August 28th, 1998. Only got three movies to look at, and two of them are really movies, and the last one, is not quite a movie per se, but we'll get to that one in a little bit. But let's start with the biggest new release of the weekend, which really is not saying a whole lot because it was not a big hit whatsoever, but it did have somewhat of a following, I guess. It's the movie 54. And I say sort of a following because, yeah, this is one of those weird ones that has somewhat of a following. I mean, it was not a big hit critically when it came out, but it made decent money at the box office. And Miramax basically put out these different director's cuts. There was a director's cut in 2008, and then there was another one in 2015, which was a new edit, which had like over 45 minutes of original material put back in here and 30 minutes of studios reshoots removed. It's a very complicated film. There's like three different versions of this movie that are out. None of them are really all that good, honestly. This is basically the story about the famous nightclub, Studio 54, during the 1970s and the early 80s. And you have Mike Myers in here playing Steve Rubell, the man who was behind it all. And, of course, you have Ryan Felipe, Salma Hayek, Nev Campbell among the cast. But, like I said, the movie, no matter which version you watch, is not really all that good. In fact, it's kind of a generic movie. It's a film that's trying to... It wants to be like something like a Boogie Nights, but Boogie Nights did it a whole lot better. But it wants to be more mainstream, too, at the same time. And I think that was the biggest problem with the film, because it doesn't really know what kind of a direction it wants to take. It wants to take some of these hot young stars, Ryan Felipe, Salma Hayek, Nev Campbell, and also you have Mike Myers coming off of Austin Powers, and doing something a little bit that's outside of his norm. In fact, he's the one thing that I'll give credit for. He actually is pretty good in the movie. It's very interesting to see him do a role where, he's kind of outside his norm, and he'd very rarely go on and do that. Like Inglourious Basterds was another one, and then there was also Bohemian Rhapsody, where, again, he was one of the few things about that movie I actually really enjoyed. It was like his brief little appearances playing the manager of the Queen, of the record company that Queen is for Queen, and the guy has some talent to him. It's just that he had a little bit of an ego too, but I mean, that's the one thing I'll give the movie credit for. He's actually really good in this film, but everybody else, it really doesn't know what kind of a direction it wants to go into. It doesn't know if it wants to be a mainstream movie or something that's more on the lines of a Boogie Nights. Boogie Nights will be remembered more than this movie did. That's basically the biggest fault with the movie, is that Boogie Nights had a better story, better characters, better writing overall, better direction. This does not, and it feels like it suffered big time because it had dealt with studio interference, and then all the different versions that came out, I never saw one good version of this movie, to be quite honest with you. And I think this movie only existed because of the rising star power of its three young leads. And they've made much better movies besides this film. But, yeah, that's just all I remember from that film. That's 54. So, we have another music-based movie next up here, and that is Why Do Fools Fall in Love? From the same man that gave us Selena, now we have another musical biographical film, this time centering around Frankie Lyman, the lead singer of the rock and roll group Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, and it basically follows the three different women in his life. Each of them claim to be married to Lyman and lay claim to his estate. The three women are Halle Berry, Vivica A. Fox, and Lela Rochon. You also have Lorenz Tate playing Frankie Lyman and Little Richard playing himself in the movie. And it's kind of on the same levels as something like Selena. Not a perfect film overall, but a good enough film that I would say is definitely worth the watch, especially to see some really good performances from the three leading actresses in here, Halle Berry, Vivica A. Fox, and Lela Rochon. And even Lorenz Tate is very good in the movie. Little Richard, it's Little Richard being Little Richard. I mean, he basically was playing himself. I mean, obviously he's playing himself, but I will say Miguel A. Nunez Jr. plays him in the early 50s, and he wasn't half bad. He actually does play the role pretty well, and if they were to make that biopic about him, he would have been perfect for this. But other than that, nothing too spectacular about the movie, but it is a good film. I'm glad I saw it, so I'd say definitely check it out. If you like Selena, you'd probably enjoy this one a lot too. So that's Why Do Fools Fall in Love. So let's wrap this one up with the last one we have here, I Married a Strange Person. Now, as you can tell from that animation style, that is the work of Bill Clinton, and I thought at first This was just in one of those compilation films of his various shorts, because he's most known for his short films, such as Your Face and also 12 Tiny Christmas Tales. But if you've definitely seen his work before. If you've seen some of his animation, you can definitely tell that's his work. But this is an actual feature film. You basically have a newlywed develops as a strange lump. A newlywed basically develops a strange lump on his neck that gives him the ability to transform people or objects at will. His wife is very upset. Meanwhile, the CEO of this company, Smile Corp, learns of this man and his abilities and sees a way to achieve world domination if only the man can be taken alive. So, certainly a lot going on in this movie. Now, the bad thing about this is that I have not seen this film, and I like Bill Plimpton's work. I've seen a lot of his shorts. I've seen a lot of his stuff from The Simpsons. I've seen 12 Tiny Christmas Tales. I had no idea that the Your Face segment was actually a short film before I saw it first on The Simpsons, when Homer did the exact same thing. But this is also the guy that did Don't Download This Song and TMZ for Weird Al Yankovic. I mean, he's a great animator, and I had no idea that he made several movies. He actually made several of them. The Toon, Mutant Aliens, Hair High, Idiots and Angels, Cheatin', Hitler's Folly, Revergence. A number of films I never even knew about, but yeah, this is... I gotta catch up with this guy's work. I mean, I like his work a lot. I had no idea he made that many different animated films, so yeah, I really do want to see his work. Unfortunately, I have not seen this one, so I can't really say about the quality of this film, but it's probably got some great animation to keep it going. I mean, that's just... It's Bill Plimpton, man. Bill Plimpton makes great animation regardless of what he does, so something I'll definitely check out one day. So that's I Married a Strange Person. So with that said, that wraps up another edition of Time About the Movies. We'll head into Labor Day weekend 1998, coincidentally on Labor Day weekend 2023 as of the time of recording this, with only a couple of movies, nothing too memorable. Knockoff, Firelight, and Phoenix. That's pretty much all the movies that came out on this weekend, so we'll look at those on the next time we come on this particular show. But until then, as always, if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the like and subscribe button below. And if you want to see more videos like this, of course, check out the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and stick around, because coming up in just a little bit, it's our premiere episode of Time About the Movies Flashback. We're taking a look at the films of Thanksgiving weekend 1988, and that's going to be coming up in just a little bit, so stay tuned.